Hello and welcome to today's Reiki session. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of heart and mind integration. So sometimes what happens when we're trying to achieve our goals is that what we believe and think up here doesn't match what we desire and what we truly want to achieve in here. So we're going to do a little integration. To support us in doing that today, I've got several essential oils and I also have just a fun little marble heart that says love on it. I just got this and I think it's amazing and I love the message of it, so I put it inside our crystal grid today to support us. So let us begin by balancing with our grounding blend, because this could be a little bit of an intensive experience today, and I want to make sure that we're solid in our foundation before we begin. So we'll do a little bit of grounding. You can certainly, if you have a grounding blend at home, you're welcome to put that on your feet. That's an excellent place to do it. But on your behalf, I'll put it on my hands today. And then next, to really start us out and make sure that we are ready to receive this amazing healing experience today, I'm gonna do a little bit of clary sage. Now, normally we would smudge ourselves, but I don't want to set fire to anything in my house today, so we're gonna use clary sage instead. So you are welcome to smudge at home if you have smudge stick. Palo Santo happens to be my favorite over white sage, but you use whatever speaks to you. But on your behalf, we're gonna go ahead and use a little bit of sage to cleanse our aura, cleanse our being. I'm just gonna quick brush through the aura here, my own aura, and then yours. Just to allow that beautiful sage to do its job. We're going to use a little bit of breathe, little stripe on either side here of the lungs, just opening up our capacity for expansion, because that's where we expand the most, is through our lungs. We're going to do a little bit of integration here, so we need a little rose oil, heart center, oil of love, and frankincense, oil of intuition. Integrate that body and mind. So we're going to do a little bit stripe across the forehead, as well as a little dot at third eye, and maybe a little at the temples for good measure. Really want to integrate today. All right, why don't you go ahead and allow your eyes to close, allow yourself to relax into a comfortable position, and we'll get started. Begin to deepen and slow the breath. Let's do a quick body scan, paying attention to any areas that feel tense or uncomfortable. And today I'm going to use my pendulum to support us in grounding and cleansing the chakras. Actually, I'll move that off there so that it's not so wiggly. There we go. Ooh, and we have a spin already. Well done, everyone. Well done. This just means that those chakras are cleansing readily and quickly. We're circulating any energy in that needs to come in, circulating any energy out that needs to come out. As part of this integration process, we're going to bring some awareness to the things that we desire and all the reasons that our mind comes up with that we cannot have said things. So for example, if your goal is to be a millionaire, for example, or to own a bigger home, or to get a different job, or to find a different partner, or be just happy in life, whatever your intention is, and let's start with one to keep it simple today, and you can repeat this process on your own as much as you need. So we'll start with whatever the most burning, strongest desire of our hearts is, usually the first thing that comes to mind, what our goal is. And we're going to just bring that to mind, and we're just going to allow it to percolate a little bit, and we're going to allow our brain, as it does, to come up with all the reasons why whatever it is that we want is not possible. I know this sounds a little counterintuitive, but again, we need to bring awareness in order to bring healing. So just think about your thing, whatever it is, and allow all those reasons, all those objections, all that resistance to come up. Just let it show up for you, whatever it is. Oh, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not brave enough, strong enough, I don't have the resources, I don't have the money, I don't have the skill set or the intelligence. Whatever it is, whatever that resistance is, we're not judging it right now, we're just going to allow it to be. All the reasons that show up in your mind, and they don't have to be, you can know that they're not true in your head, but just allow them to come up anyway. Just allow all that resistance to show up for you. If you'd like, you can even write these things down for later, record them if that speaks to you. Just so you have kind of a record, something for you to look at later. And we'll just remind you of all of these reasons that we need to create space for healing today. All of the resistance is just trying to keep you safe. That's its job. We've talked in the past about shadow work, and that's what we're doing today. We're just allowing the resistance to present itself for the express purpose of releasing it. Just going to allow that resistance to show up, allow that shadow to speak, allow that shadow to do its job, which is to try to protect us. That's why it brings objections. And now that you have your list of objections, I'd like to invite you to have a little bit of dialogue with your shadow regarding those objections. So if, for example, your shadow says, let's say you're looking for a better paying job or more income, and your shadow says something to the effect of, I'm not smart enough to get another job, or I'm not smart enough to make that kind of money. Let's begin a dialogue. What would you say to visualize your shadow sitting in front of you or next to you? What would you say to someone, a trusted friend, or even yourself, when that comes up? What would you say to your best friend if they said exactly what your shadow said to you? I'm just not smart enough to make that kind of money. I'm just not resourceful enough. I'm not strong enough. I don't have the capability or the skills. What would you say to that person? You're just going to open up a dialogue. And again, this is coming from a space of loving intention, because our shadow just wants to keep us safe, just wants us to be protected. And so the best way, especially like with children, if they're afraid, we don't yell at them, we don't get mean and hostile, right? We just reassure and provide comfort. We have a dialogue. That's all we're doing today. So you might say to your shadow, well, I have the skills. I've worked in this field or at this job for this amount of years. I have this much experience. I know other people working in my trade have made X amount of dollars, and I'm just as good, if not better, at what I do as these people. And just, again, a little bit of back and forth. Allow every single phrase or every resistance, everything in all its forms, to come up one at a time. And you're just going to have a dialogue. Really integrate that heart with that mind. And when we're having this dialogue, kind of arguing our point as to why we can have the things that we want, why we can change our lives for the ultimate better, for not just us, but for everyone around us. Because as we level up, as it were, those around us have the opportunity to level up as well. They're inspired by our example. And they also feel permission, as it were, to create change in their own lives. And when we bring our own energy, our best self to the table every single day, that creates space for us to give our best to others and encourages them to give their best as well. Any resistance you're encountering, it's okay. Just allow that shadow to bring up anything and everything that's a fear maybe you didn't realize you had, or maybe a misalignment that you didn't realize you had. We're just going to allow any examples in support of your argument to your shadow to come up. Like, for example, if you think about, oh, well, people who have more money are bad or evil or take advantage of folks, then you might bring to mind an example of someone who manifested a lot of money and has done a lot of good. A lot of philanthropists have made millions, if not billions of dollars, and have poured a lot of those resources into causes that speak to their soul. Tony Robbins, for example, grew up not being able to afford to eat, and so with his millions of dollars, he has created meal programs for people who are hungry. His mission is to make sure that everyone in the United States and beyond always has something to eat. And Tony Robbins didn't take advantage of a single person in order to make all the money he's made. Tony Robbins is giving back to people. You know, he's taking his abundance and sharing it with the world, and you can do the same thing on whatever scale makes sense to you. We're just going to start with right here, right now. Just responding to the resistance that's coming from our mind, that's coming from our shadow, in a gentle and loving way, the same as we would with a small child who's afraid of the dark or monsters under the bed. We're just going to create space for a gentle, peaceful understanding. Do a little bit more clary sage. If you reach a point in this process where you're feeling maybe a little bit stuck or a little bit overwhelmed, just return your attention to the breath. It's okay if there's resistance. We're just going to pay attention to it right now and create space to resolve it. Just create a dialogue with yourself around what's going on in your life. This is the first step to fully integrating what we desire with what we believe. Because we don't always get what we want, we usually get what we believe. Whatever we believe is possible. So it's very nice because we can change our beliefs. Just like we can change the color of our hair or the shirt that we're wearing, you can change your beliefs just as quickly and just as easily. We only create resistance where we think it should be there, but it doesn't have to be. Think about a stream or a river and someone throws a boulder or a rock into that stream. It doesn't stop the stream. The stream just goes around or through. It just diverts the water a little bit, but it doesn't ultimately stop the stream. And if there's enough rocks and boulders, then yes, eventually it will block up that stream, but our goal is to start removing the boulders, removing those rocks with this process by bringing awareness. Having the dialogue, providing the reassurance and the belief in ourselves, because ultimately you would not want what you want unless it was yours already, unless it was meant for you to be. There's no shame in wanting what you want. You're all put here with a certain goal, with certain desires in our hearts, and we are, as human beings, designed to be expansive. And so you're not being selfish, you're not being bad, you're not being something that you weren't designed to be. You're just expanding because that is our nature. So allow your nature to do what it does, to expand. Take the rocks out of your stream. Create space for that universal energy to flow around the obstacles, to remove them for you, to create space in your mind, in your imagination for the things that you want to see, the things that your heart desires. Because when you show up as your best self, the world is a much better place. You having what you want doesn't mean that anyone else is denied what they want. because we don't all want the same things. And there's plenty of room for everyone. Think about it like a pie. You're not taking someone else's pie, not taking a slice, right? Everyone gets their own pie. That's what we're doing. We're just baking your pie. Whatever kind you want, whatever you want in it, that whole thing is yours. You don't take from anyone else, and you don't give to anyone else. You just create space for your own pie. Create your own recipe. Let's take another few deep breaths in, allowing that integration to take place. It will take some time, especially if it's a really, really big boulder, a really big block that you've had for a while. It might take a little bit of time and a little bit more comfort and reassurance, because the scarier the monster, the more comfort and reassurance your kiddo requires, right? It's exactly what we're doing here. It's okay for the process to take as long as the process takes. No judgment. You can release that. And when you come to a space with your one issue for today, you can repeat this again later for anything else that comes up. When you get to a space where you feel like your shadow is more comfortable, like a child who's ready to go to sleep now because they realize that there's no monsters under the bed, that everything is safe and they'll be okay, they're protected. All will be well. Begin to create in your mind images of the things that your heart wants to see. That relationship, that career, that home or environment, maybe that new car, whatever it is that you want to see, that your heart desires. Again, in a judgment-free zone. When you're ready, you can start visualizing what that might be like. Just creating space, imagining what your life would be like, how it would be different, how it would change, how it would help not just you, but the people around you, the positive impact. Again, any resistance that comes up, you can just provide that dialogue. What's going on? Why are you afraid? Tell me what makes you scared. Tell me what's resistance for you. And again, just look for examples of what you want to see. Show your shadow that it's going to be okay, that you can have what you want. And just periodically throughout the day, especially in the coming weeks, you can revisit this process, just taking a few moments per day to just visualize and fully experience, just really immerse yourself in the experience of having what you want. And again, creating dialogue around any resistance that comes up along the way. So if it's that dream car, dream vacation, whatever it is, really put yourself in that position of already achieving whatever your goal is. And just focus on how that feels. Now that you've created space in your mind to allow the possibility to imagine the realities as they could be, as they will be. That's what this heart-mind integration is all about. Creating space for the future that you desire to manifest itself. Reducing any mental chatter. And again, if anything comes up, your shadow says, oh my goodness, you encounter any resistance at all, just have that dialogue. Talk it out with yourself. Let yourself know that it's going to be okay. And then take inspired action. So if you have a block and maybe you feel inspired to turn on a podcast or check out a book from the library, or whatever action, phone a friend, whatever it is that you feel inspired to do, start taking those little teeny tiny baby steps. Start looking for the answers, and they will be there. Whatever it is that you need will always show up exactly when you need it. You just have to be ready to receive the answers that you seek. It's really not difficult, especially when you do the shadow work. As we begin the grounding process, I'd like to invite you to ask one last question of your shadow. What else do you need me to know? What else do you want me to see or experience? What else is important for me in this process? Because your shadow doesn't just hold you back. Your shadow just isn't always well prepared to support you in the best way. It's kind of like a little kiddo who's trying to make you breakfast, but they have no idea what they're doing, and so they kind of make a mess. Our shadow works very like that, but it's very wise, and it's always looking out for your best interest. So ask your shadow, what else do I need to know? What else do I need to consider so that I can continue to move forward in this process? And it will tell you. Maybe not right this second, but it will certainly tell you. Especially in those quiet moments, like when you're driving or just kind of sitting, when you're in the shower, things like that. And then make the commitment to yourself to take your inspired action, whether that's daily visualization, beginning to research a particular topic, maybe polishing up your resume, moving out of a relationship or maybe into a relationship, whatever it is, the inspired action that you need to take today, take that tiny first step. Make an agreement with yourself that you will do that, and then go and take that first little tiny step, whatever it is, whatever you've been guided to do. Okay, let's bring our awareness back into this space and time. And let us close with our 3 slow, deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Deep inhale and exhale. You can allow the eyes to open. And I would definitely like to encourage you, especially throughout this week and beyond, to just pay attention to your body. Notice any areas of maybe tension or discomfort when you are thinking about any areas of resistance or any resistance to the action that you're taking. Just know that sometimes our body's just trying to communicate fear. Sometimes that's just the shadow saying, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out a little bit. And it's okay to take a step back and again, comfort that child, that inner child within that is just trying to keep you safe. So again, with that in mind, you've done excellent work today. I'm so proud of you. Be well. Namaste.